How you guys doing? Welcome to the Excel review. So this is going to be very, very similar to what is going to be on the exam. So everything that is on here, I expect and hope that you guys will practice. So the exam will be four parts. Each part is 25 points, right? The first part is all of workshop one. The second part is some of workshop two. So something similar to the chocolate graph, although it won't be chocolate graph, it will be something else. But same concept. You got to know how to get your average value, use pivot tables, and make some basic graphs. Part three, which is also 25 points, is going to be some X lookups, both vertical and horizontal. And part four is going to be the first page of workshop four. This is the first, this is the last page of workshop three also, if you guys are curious. So let's start from the beginning, right? You have a formula bank that will be provided to you on the exam. Uh, you can refer to it while answering the questions. So guys, if you ask me, am I going to pass the exam if I just watch this? I'm going to say probably not. I expect you guys to have a computer on you and follow along while watching this because this is a hands-on workshop. The exam is also very hands-on, almost one-to-one with this. Obviously, the questions are different, but these are the concepts that are going to pop up, and I'm showing you how to do them. I'm going to expect you to know how to do them on the exam. So please follow along. Even if you do it just a couple of times, that's fine. As long as you're comfortable going into the exam, you're doing this stuff, you will pass. And you are 2 billion% going to be doing these at your internships and jobs anyways. So might as well just learn how to do them now. Anyways, let's get started. The first question says search for the first ABC. We're going to hit equal sign, search. Excel asks us for two things, find text and within text. So find text is what text are we looking for? We're looking for ABC. Within text is where are we looking for it? We're looking for it in this cell. Close the parenthesis, we get 5. Why the number 5? Well, what we're looking for is not necessarily to display ABC. What search does is display what character position your text appears on. So you have to count the characters, and this is the key to understanding workshop one. So if you count the characters on this text right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ABC starts on the fifth character of this text. That's what search does. Find the first ABC. Same concept. These two formulas are almost like twins. So like find text. We're trying to find the text ABC. Where are we looking for it? So E3. Close the parenthesis, we get 9. Why is that? Well, if we compare the both of them, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the ABC that displayed when we search for it. And for this one, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what we find, basically, it is case sensitive. It has to match exactly how it appears in our text. When you search, it is not case sensitive. So it looks for ABC no matter if it's capitalized or not. How long is a text string? There's going to be one question like this, and this is very easy. Use the length formula. So LEN, click on the cell you want to find the length of, and it gives you the number 50, meaning it's 15 characters long. Now extract the leftmost two characters. So extract and populate, guys, for the sake of this workshop being the exact same thing, it means show. Show the leftmost two characters. So to do this, we're going to use keyword leftmost. We're going to use the left formula. We're going to click on the cell, that is the text we're working with, and the second part, which is number of characters, we're going to say 2. So for this text, show the leftmost two characters, 4 hyphen, checks out. Populate the rightmost character. For this one, we want to display the rightmost character. So same exact logic. The formula we use is right. Click on the text, comma, number of characters. How many characters are we showing? 1. Hit enter. The result is 7. 7 is the rightmost character. It checks out. Just as a fun fact, you guys don't need to specify if it's only one character because by default it returns one character. If it's more than one character that you're looking for, though, you have to specify. I'm going to keep it. So now we're being asked to show the style number, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is not to the very left of this code, it's not to the very right of it, it's somewhere in the middle. For that reason, we use the mid formula. Equal sign mid, three things it asks for, the text that we're working with, which is cell E7, starting number. Now, very important, guys. It's not asking for the starting number of our question. It's asking the text that we want to display, what character number do we want to start from? So you count the characters here, right? We're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, eight. We start from the ninth character. So we start showing and displaying from the ninth character. Now, how many characters do we display from there? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is five characters. Hit enter. So starting from the ninth character, we display the next five. Now populate the 5-digit vendor ID. Same exact deal as before. So now we're working with a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Same exact text. We hit equal sign. We say mid. We start from which character? The 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 starts with the first, second, third character. First of all, the text that we're working with, we start from the third character, comma. How many characters do we want to display from there? Well, we got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 5 characters. Hit enter, and we get the result. Now replace the vendor ID with 98765. So equal sign, we're going to say replace. We have the old text, starting number, number of characters, same exact deal as the previous one, if you guys notice. But now we're going to do some replacement. So we're going to click on the cell. This is our old text. Now, what character position, again, do we want to start replacing from? We're replacing the vendor ID, which from the previous question is 56789. So we're going to look for first, second, third character. Starting from the third character. How many characters are we replacing? We're replacing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters. And what are we replacing them with? Well, we're replacing them with 98765. So this is like the mid formula, but we have an extra step, which is what are we replacing it with instead of just displaying it. And we use replace here. So if this was somebody's name, guys, you would put it in quotation marks. So if this said Steve, you would have to use quotation marks. Otherwise, it don't work. Just know that. But because this is a number that we're replacing it with, it's fine. You don't need quotation marks. They're optional. Substitute the period, substitute the periods of this text with hyphens. So to do this, we're going to use the substitute formula. So replace and substitute, we're going a little bit differently. Replace will replace one small chunk of text. Substitute will take one character, like periods or A's or B's, and replace all of them throughout the text with something else. So substitute works like this. And put the equal sign. We need our text, which is our source. The old text, which is what's being taken out. That is a period, which we're going to put again in quotation marks because it's not a number. And then our new text, which is what's going to replace it. There's a hyphen, hit enter, and now periods are replaced with hyphens. Next, we're going to remove all three hyphens from the thread. Might sound complicated, it's not. We use substitute for this as well. The way we do that is very third grade logic, but it works. We're going to have our text that we're working with, which is this cell right here. Our old text, which is what's being taken out. And what are we replacing the three dashes with? We're replacing them with nothing. We want them taken out. So for this, we literally put nothing between two quotation marks. And Excel understands that this is now going to be empty. Now, the next two questions, guys, are combining formulas. They're also like a total of 2 points together on the exam, so don't stress too hard over them. I'm going to show you how to do them. So let's start this. We want to populate the rightmost 7 digits without including the hyphen. So in order for us to do this, we have to first take the hyphens out of this text. then populate the rightmost 7 digits. So in order of PEMDAS, the deepest formula is going to be the substitute. So we're going to start with right. And our source for the right formula, instead of just clicking the cell, we want a version of the cell without the hyphens. So we're going to say substitute, which I misspelled, but it's okay. Our text is going to be this cell right here. All text, which is being taken out, is the hyphens. And what's going to replace it is a whole bunch of nothing. So we put that in quotation marks, comma. Now, the way the right formula works, as you guys remember, click on a cell. How many characters do you want to show from it? Well, instead of just clicking on a cell, we click on the cell and remove the hyphens from it. That's the first half of the right formula. That's the text that we're working with. And now we specify the number of characters we want to display from what we have left, which is 7. And don't forget to put comma before part. So now we're going to remove the first 4 digits of this number. Now, the way I like to teach this is like this. But again, this is one point, one singular point on your test. So don't spend your hours on this, please. Um, we're going to use the right formula to say that we want to display everything on the right side of those first 4 numbers. Now, what text are we working with? We're working with this cell, right? We want to display everything to the right side of the cell. How many characters do we want to display? We want to say everything except for the first 4, right? Well, one way to say that is length of cell E13 minus 4. Now, what this does, length of cell E14 means everything, this entire cell, right? All its characters. Minus 4 is from all its characters, you remove 4 of them. So now it's everything but the first 4. And because we're using the right formula, it replaces everything to the right side and removes the first 4. Hit enter and you get the answer. If you're feeling lazy, I don't care if you do this either. You can say substitute. You can select the cell. In quotation marks, say 908 dash to be specific, and then you can say replace it with nothing. I'll still give you the points. This is just to show you guys that you can do a whole bunch of things. Now, the next several questions are incredibly easy, super, super easy. Probably the easiest part of workshop 1. However, if you don't study them, you might lose a lot of points because there's like 10 questions like these. So extract the month and format to 3. If we're extracting the month as a certain format, we're always going to use the text formula. The text formula does nothing to the text except make it appear differently. So there's this date, right? Um, we want to display only the month as a singular number. So we're going to say, click on the date, comma. How we want to format it, if it's just the number as a month, it's going to be M. If we want to say 03 because our company wants us to format it like that, we're going to say equal sign, text, same exact deal, click on the cell. How we're going to format it is double M. And this is going to show the number of the month as 2 digits. If you want to display the month as a short spelling like MAR or DEC for December, we're going to say equal sign, text, click on the cell, comma. How we want to format it is MMM. Doesn't matter how many letters the month itself has, you're always going to say MMM if you want a shortened version of the spelling. And then extract month and format to March. We're going to say equal sign, text. If you want to spell out the whole month, you need 4 M's. So we're going to click on the cell, MMMM. Continuing this is still pretty easy. Extract the day as day of the week spelled out in a shortened version. If for the month we do MMM, for the day we do DDD. So we're going to say equal sign, text, click on the cell, comma. The way we're going to format it is in quotation marks DDD. For this next one, we're gonna say same exact deal, except we want to spell out the whole weekday. So we're gonna say equal sign X, click on the cell. Let me get rid of my zoom options. Click on the cell. Oh, sorry, text first. Click on the cell. D D D D. Next, we're gonna convert the date into the month, day, year format. So this looks a lot more specific. I swear to you guys, it's insanely easy. So we're gonna say equal sign text, click on the cell, half of it is done. We know this. If you're not sure how it wants you to format it, just look at what it tells you and copy that. So mm/dd/yy, close the parentheses, it gives you exactly that. Now reformat this other text to December 24th, 2014. Way we're gonna do this, we're gonna put the pieces together. So text, click on the cell, comma. How we're gonna format it? Spell out the whole month. It was 4 M's, right? We want a space. 24, that's the day in 2 digits. So we're gonna say DD, comma, space. 2014, that's the full year. And we can wrap that up. Now reformat to December 24. So, DEC dash 24. We're gonna say equal sign text. Click on the cell we're working with. And how we want to format it is shortened version of the month, which is 3 M's, comma. It's not gonna be a comma. It's asking for a dash, but if you get put a comma, I'm not gonna care. Space 24, which is the date. So we're gonna say DD, and that's what we get. Now extract full day as day of the week, then full date. We're gonna say equal sign text. Click on the cell we're working with. Full day as day of the week is gonna be DDDD, and then full date, which is gonna be MM/DD/YYYY. Now extract day as number of the day of the week. So if you guys notice, 3Ds and 4Ds will show you the day of the week spelled out. 1D and 2Ds will show you the day of the month as a number. So there's no option with text to show the weekday as a number. For that reason, the formula we use for this is weekday. All you have to do here, click on your cell. It's automatically going to find what weekday it was. Second day of the week, it was Tuesday. That's it. Same deal with the next questions. Now, all of these are super, super, super easy, but they're like several points in the exam because they add up, right? They use mainly the same formula. So know how to do this as well. To combine cells together, we use concatenate. Not concat, concatenate. And all the only variables in this formula are the pieces of text we're going to add together. So the first piece is going to be James, and the second piece is going to be Smith. Because this doesn't look the best, in the next question, I'm asking you guys to build James space Smith. To do this, equal sign, concatenate, click on James, comma. We want a space in between these two pieces, right? So we're going to add a custom piece ourselves, which is going to be a space in quotation marks. And then we're going to click on Smith. Now, next we're being asked to build Smith, comma, James. So to do this, same thing as before, concatenate, We're going to click on Smith first. In our quotation marks, we're going to put comma and then a space. And now another comma to separate them. Add James to the equation and it builds it. Next, we're going to play around with capitals a little bit. So we have James Smith. We want to put it in all caps. To do this, we're going to say equal sign. To put something in uppercase, look at the formula bank. We use the formula that says upper. All this means is the text you want to uppercase, James Smith. Now, if you have a lowercase James Smith or an all caps James Smith and you want to make it look proper, like just capitalize the first letter, the way to do this is using the formula proper. Click on the cell that you want to properly capitalize. And it's going to turn it to James Smith as you would write it. Now, this combine all four parts one, it looks complicated. I promise you guys, it is not. So we can say equal sign, concatenate. We have the street. Click that first. Think about a real address, right? So we're going to say between the street and the city, there's usually a comma. So comma space, another comma to separate them. Click on the city, comma. Between the city and state, there's usually another comma. So we're going to say in quotation marks, comma space, and then add the state, another comma. Usually between state and zip code, there's no real commas or anything. It's just a space. So click on this, and we get the result. There's something wrong here. It shouldn't be. It's missing a digit, but that's okay. That's not your guys' fault. Either way, moving on to week 2. Pivot tables, graphs, charts, right? The very first thing you guys need to do for this is get the average value. So we're going to click equal sign, average. And now we have the average value of all these numbers. So on average, per country, Twix is the favorite chocolate bar of how many? 20 people, right? You can click this and drag it while doing the formula. You click on the cells individually, it doesn't matter. But clicking and dragging it is by far the easiest. Doing that again, equal sign, average. Select all these. You need this in order to do the next question. So know how to do this. If you double click this, again, bottom right corner, there's a little green dot. Or if you just drag from there, it autofills for all of them. Now, doing the pivot tables first, right? How many unique ingredients are there? So we want to show this using a pivot table. I don't want the answer without a pivot table. That's going to get you a 0. If you can give me a pivot table, though, I'll take a messy one. So to do this, we're going to select everything starting from the item, not the top unified bar because it's going to mess things up. Starting from the items, we're going to go to insert. Remember this button, guys. Pivot table. There's like at least 10 points in your exam. Like, this is huge. Table range, I mean, this is the data that we have on our table. New worksheet or existing, I'm going to choose to put it in the existing one. You can put it wherever you like. Location, again, wherever you like, as long as there's some space for it. I'm going to say right here. Hit OK. And once we're here, we can go through our pivot table. It's going to be empty in the beginning, and that's fine. And we have all of these headers, right, that match the ones on the table. Now, how many unique ingredients are there? What we can do for this is click on unique ingredients. It puts it on the rows. And now we don't have to double count them. Counting caramel twice, we don't got to do that. If this table was longer, that would be insanely helpful, even though it may not appear like it with a small table. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 unique ingredients. If I see the correct answer in a pivot table that somewhat semi-justifies it, full points. On average, how many people consider each chocolate their favorite? So again, select all the items on the table, insert pivot table. In the existing worksheet, we're going to put it right here. Now we're going to click on our pivot table and we're being asked how many people consider each chocolate their favorite on average. So each chocolate, the chocolates are under item. We know for a fact we need to select that. And then the other keyword is average, right? So we can click on where it says average. Average by default goes to values. Basically, if you put something in rows, it's a category. If you put it in values, it's going to be a number. So if we look at this, Cadbury's Dairy Milk is 19 on average. Checks out. So this is the answer that we get. Um, on the exam, this is gonna look slightly different. It's gonna be something more like how many people consider Twix their favorite, right? Because I'm not gonna make you guys list all of them. So we're gonna say for Twix is 20 on. Now make a column chart of the favorite. So we're done with pivot tables. As long as you guys can do that type of manipulation with pivot tables, you're good. Next, we're going to make a column chart of the favorite chocolate bars in the USA. So to do this, we want the item, the chocolate bars, and the country, which is USA. These are kind of far apart, which can be a pain to put together. So please pay attention to this part. Select your first column, then hold Control or Command if you're on Mac. And as you're holding Control or Command, you select your second column. You can go to Insert. Two ways to do this. And I gotta just move my zoom settings. Now that we have both selected, we're gonna choose either recommended charts or the ones that are given to us by default. I'm gonna show you guys how to do both. I think recommended charts is a better way to do it because it's easier and you have more options. So all charts, once you're in recommended charts, remember to always, the very next thing you do is click on all charts at the top. Pick one of the column charts, either one works. The other way to do this is click on the default ones if you're on Mac especially. Cluster column, take that, bring it here. For the exam, I don't ask you guys here, but for the exam, I think I'm gonna have a question where I say include access titles. Let's say that here. Include access titles. To do that, you click on this on the stable and then click on the plus sign. And from there, you're gonna click on where it says access titles. We can name this. We can say favorite number. And that's how you do access titles. If you're on Mac, it might be somewhere else, maybe at the top of your screen, but it's not hard to find. And then make a pie chart of the favorite chocolate bars in the UK. So, and include data labels. There are two parts of this. Favorite chocolate bars is items, country is UK, so we select those two. Insert. Again, you can go to recommended charts, all charts, pie, or you can click on the default pie chart, choose the first one you see, and that's what you get. Now, where it says include data labels, what you would do is click on the plus sign again, where in the same screen where you see access titles, you're also going to see data labels. So they're very hard to miss. And if you want to locate them specifically somewhere, you can say like inside, outside, and whatever. But if you're on Mac, I know for a fact that the data labels are at the top left of your screen. So be aware of that. Make a combo chart of the favorite chocolate bars in every country and then average as a line. Now I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Insert again, We want the favorite chocolate bars in every country and the average too. So we select all of them. Click on recommended charts. All charts combo. Or you can click on the default charts. You're still going to find the combo. Just click any of them. And you're going to see that three countries are columns while Germany is a line, like the average. What business does Germany have being aligned? None. So we're going to right click on this and we're going to try to find a way to change this. So if you're on Mac, I'm showing the Mac friendly way of doing this. I'm not sure if it's going to work. If it doesn't, I'm not going to take points out. Just if you're doing this on the exam and you're on the Mac and nothing works, type in the cell, I'm on the Mac. It doesn't happen, and I'll believe you. So, anyways, the way I know how to do this is change chart type. And this is where it shows each individual column, right? Each country and how they're presented. Germany is presented as a line. So we click on where it says line, we change it to a column, say okay. And that's pretty much everything you need for a workshop. Now for lookups, we have two tabs. Very, very similar to what we did in Replete, right? The student's first name, we got to find their last name, pass or fail, and their letter grade. Most likely on the test, this is going to be 5 points each. Yes, this is going to be 5 points each. So to do this, we're going to say equal sign. We have the student's first name, which is John. If you guys take a look, how are we going to find their last name? Well, this roster right here on the next page has the first name, last name, and class. If we have the first name in both, we can use that as a common reference, right? So here we can say equal sign, X, lookup. Our reference value is going to be first name. We click on the cell next to us. And then we go to the table where we find our reference value on this table, the first name, right? So we can click Control, Shift, so hold, click Control and hold it. Click Shift on top of Control and hold it, then down arrow. Again, if you're on Mac, it's Command Shift down. And then comma, and we want to display the last name, right, which is in front of it. So we're going to select starting from the same place. So column header, Control Shift down, Command Shift down, and that's what we get. So the reason we do this is because first name and last name are in front of each other. X lookup pulls whatever is in front of your reference value. It doesn't matter if you start from first name or from John, but just know whatever you start your reference column from is going to be the same thing that you start your return column from. So when you select the two columns, if you start from last name, start the next one from last name. If you start the first one from John, start the next one from John. I think that's straightforward enough. And then you put dollar signs. Guys, don't forget the dollar sign. If you don't put dollar signs and you drag that down, the entire selection is going to be dragged down too. So don't do that. And you get all the names. Now, again, please guys, don't forget to lock your column selections. Because when you have John, right? Let's say you select this, it returns the right one, but then you drag it down to here, your selection will automatically be dragged like this. You don't want that. So to prevent that, you lock the rows in place by putting a dollar sign next to the numbers. Again, when you're doing an X lookup, three essential parts when it's an exact match, five parts when it's an approximate match, which we'll do in a second. But first part is always the reference, which is the cell next to you. Easy. Don't lock that. Don't touch that. You want to drag that down with the rest of them, right? When you go to select the columns, always for both of them, lock all the numbers, all of them. So A lock 2, A lock 42, and then B log 2 be log 42? Because that is basically keeping all of your data, all of your selection, all of your scanning within these cells without moving from there. And that's what you want. Next, I'm gonna show you guys the optional extra steps. So the error message and the match mode. The match mode is the important one, but the error message is like we have to do that to get to the next one. So error message, just say an NA in quotation marks. Match mode, because it's an exact match, we're matching somebody's name, or if we're matching a price, or if we're matching an exact number, it's going to be 0, which means exact match. We're looking for this exact value that matches this perfect. If you don't specify these two things, Excel automatically assumes that you're trying to do an exact match. Now, if you're trying to do a range of numbers, right? You have the number grade right here, and you're trying to get where it lands within this range, 0 to 70 or over 70. That's when you do an approximate match, which is a different type of XLOOKUP formula. Same exact steps, just instead of 0 at the end, you want to put -1. So these are the formulas you need to know the extra 2 steps for. These 2 questions are 10 points together. So please learn those extra 2 steps because those 10 points ride on those extra 2 steps. Equal sign, XLOOKUP, number grade. We want to know if people passed or failed based on their grade, so we click on that. Exams data, right? If you take a look at this small table right here, it has 0, 70, and then again 0, 70, 90, 100. There's 2 tables here. One that is pass or fail, and one that is the letter grade. We only want to stick to pass or fail. So we click on these 2 cells, comma. We select whether they pass or failed. And then if we stop here, Excel is going to give us an error because the first student has 100, and 100 doesn't match either of these numbers. Exactly. So we could say round it down to the closest lowest number, which is what we want, right? Because if it's not 70, it's basically a fail, no matter what type of number it is. So we're going to round it back to that. So to do this, we're going to say NA for our error message, and then -1 to let Excel know that this is a range of numbers that we are working with. Always remember to do this for those 2 questions. So this one and the one coming after. And before you finalize everything, again, go back to your column selections and lock with $ the numbers, which are the rows. What that basically says is keep it between these 2 rows, don't go down as we drag down on the formula. Now we have our pass and fail. However, if you read this, it says apply conditional formatting to column E. Pass is green, fail is red. Pretty easy stuff. So we select this column, conditional formatting. First thing we see, highlight cell rules. Greater than, less than, between, equal to, text that contains. This is going to be R1 because you see that it has the letter A in there. This is the one that we do for text, right? If it contains the word fail, light red fill with dark red text, whatever, fine. And then within that same range of cells, select conditional formatting again, text that contains. If it contains the word pass, we say green fill with dark green text. If you guys ever make a mistake with this, you can always clear the rules and do them again. So clear rules from selected cells. Now, letter grade. To find the letter grade, we have to take the actual grade and find what letter it belongs to, right? So if it's under 70, it's an F. If it's greater than 70, but under 80, it's a C. So we're going to round it back to this value between 70 and 80. Again, approximate match. Some of these grades don't exactly match the numbers on here. This is going to be an approximate match question, which means it's not going to work with only the first 3 steps. It needs 5. So we're going to say equal sign, XLOOKUP, click on the grade, comma, exams data. select all the grades. Again, start from the zero, end with a 90. We're done with the pass and fail table. And now we select the grade that belongs to each score range. Again, if we stop here, Excel is not going to return anything because it doesn't exactly match anything there. So to fix this, we're going to say it's going to be an approximate match. And before that, we have to put a potential error message for errors. So we can say NA. This is just like Excel having a step in between them, which is kind of a pain, but it's whatever. And then -1. Always -1, guys. If you're using Excel, never +1. And guys, if somehow like, oh, and yeah, we didn't log them. So because we're dragging down and we didn't log the rows, every time we go down, first it's like this, and then it's like this, and then it becomes like this. So to avoid that, again, if you get something like this, where the first few are correct, but then later down we see errors, just put $signs in front of the numbers alone. Except for your reference. You don't want to touch your reference with dollars. So that covers what, about 15 points on your exam? So guys, next we have our exam scores, right? Pay attention on the exam. This is going to say horizontal, meaning now we're not selecting columns as much. We're going to do rows for this one. This one we're going to do back to columns. The first table is rows. So the way to do this, right? We have our classes, math, science, history. I'm probably going to put a little pointer in the exam. Reference is going to be this cell right here. It's going to be your A. We're going to say equal sign. X lookup, we're going to find out how many people got an A in their math class. So click on the cell, comma. Where do we find A, B, C, D, and so on? We find them on this row. So we're going to click on this and select this row, comma, and then we're going to click on the class and select this row. So we're going to see for this class, which is math, how many people got A? It's going to find what's in front of A, which is 11. So 11 people got an A. And because we're going to drag them down for the B, C, and so on, we want to log these again. But, I'm going to show you what happens if you don't do that. If you don't do that, you get a bunch of errors because now every time you go down, the selection moves down as well. So now we're not even paying attention to the scores anymore, right? Um, for that reason, always when you're doing an X lookup, guys, lock the rows. That means the numbers. So if we double click this now, the class does not move, but the grade that we pay attention to within that class moves, which is good. That's what we want. Because of how this is set up, we're gonna do these one by one, right? We don't need to drag both ways. That way it can get confusing. So we're gonna say X lookup. Again, how many people got an A in science? We select the classes. But instead of math this time, we're gonna select science. Where did the classes go? We select the classes. But instead of math, we're gonna also select science. We're gonna put $signs. Double click the bottom right corner and it autofills. Now for history, I'm going to say equal sign, same deal as before, X lookup, click on how many people got A. Let's select the grades and let's see for history, whatever scores are in front of all those grades. And now from A, because did we not log something? We didn't log them, so we're going to say $sign in front of the rows. And that's that. Now, we want to make a drop-down menu to choose the different classes, and we want the numbers here to change based on what class we choose. Oh my God, dude. So these ones right here. This question right here alone is probably gonna be about 10 points. Again, very important that you guys know how to do this. To make a drop-down menu in Excel, you go to Data tab, click on Data Validation, somewhere between the middle and the right side of your screen. On the Data tab, remember, where it says Allow, we're gonna say a list because we want to make a list, a drop-down list, right? And where it says Source, what are the things on our list gonna be? Well, if you look at this, it says Class, so we want the classes to appear on our list. And we're gonna say okay. And this is what we have. You can choose math, you can choose science, you can choose history. I'll do this again because I know people get confused by this. Um, it genuinely takes seconds to learn, but also it's because of that, sometimes people don't realize that this is 5 points in your test. Click on the cell, which is going to be right underneath class, data validation. Allow, what we're going to allow. We're going to allow list. Source, what cells are we going to pop up on that list is going to be these, the different classes. Hit okay. And now we can choose between the classes. And now, how many people got an A in this class? So equal sign, X lookup. I made sure for these questions, guys, to always put the reference to your left to make your life easier. So based on the different classes that you choose, right? The reason you did the data validation is because this is going to be a reference. So remember it that way. It makes it easier. Math, right? Or science or history. Where do you find that math? But we're not going to select all of this because we want to be able to swap between math, science, and history. That's the point of our drop down list. So if you pay attention to that, we're going to select all of these right here, the different classes. And you're going to also find out how many people got an A in that class, right? So we're going to select this. Only for this question, it's fine if you don't lock anything because locking can actually make it like confusing. For this last question, if you don't lock it, I'll forgive you because you're actually, this is the only one where you have to drag sideways. So if you look at math, you look at science, you look at history, you got 13, 21. And if you drag this sideways, it's going to be autofilled for all the different scores. Now here it looks a little bit messy, but it gets the job done because I've set it up in that way where even if you drag it without locking it, it's still autofill correctly. So by this point in workshop 3, you're fine. If you remember to lock your rows for everything before this table and this table, you're fine. This table, you don't have to lock your rows. If you decide to do because you want to understand how this works, I'll tell you really quickly. What do you lock? You're dragging sideways. Every time you drag to this side, if you pay attention, your reference also changes. So for this specific one, you would actually want to lock your reference, not the number, because that's a row. You're going up and down. You want to lock the column so you don't go left and right. And also, if you look at this column right here, the red one, which is where our source is located, this is also going to move to the right because we're dragging to the right. So selection is going to go that way. For that reason, we're going to lock the columns, this one too, meaning we don't want to go left and right. So we lock the letters, which are these. We're staying within this column for these. Same result, but we don't actually want to log the last part, which is our result, because as we move sideways, the letter we're looking for also moves. So we want that to be able to keep up with us. But again, guys, I will put it like this. First part of this sheet is fully vertical. The second table is going to be horizontal. You use rows. Third part is also vertical. Okay, guys, so this is part 4, which is also the first page of workshop 4, as promised. Not very different, but very, very, very important. This is another quarter of your exam, so please know how to do this stuff. Now we have all of these types of coffee, right? Their items and the time they were placed. And we have three problems here at the bottom. Each one of these goes for one of these columns, right? So we're going to say for product type, we're being told that refreshers are iced, frappes are frozen, and Earl Grey is hot. So we're going to say equal sign. Two ways to do these. There's the if way and the ifs way. So I'm going to show you the if way first. We're going to say if the if formula has three parts to it. The condition, the output if the condition is true, and the output if the condition is not true. So our condition is that refreshers are ice. So if cell, click on it, C4 equals, in quotation marks, refresher, comma, we're gonna make the output the word ice. Otherwise, we could say not ice, but for each type of coffee, it's a different output, right? So instead of saying, if this was a lot simpler than it actually is, we would say not ice, right? We can put whatever we want here, but that's not what it's asking. It's saying refreshers are iced, frappes are frozen, Earl Grey is hot. So if it's a refresher, it's iced. If it's not a refresher, we're gonna check if it's a frappe. So the third part, if the condition is unsatisfied, instead of doing a value, we're gonna actually give it another condition to look for. So it's gonna be if this cell equals frappe, which again we gotta put in quotation marks, comma, the product type is gonna be frozen. And here we could do another if condition if we want to, but the only option that's left is Earl Grey, right? There's three options. If it's not a refresher, if it's not a frappe, it's we automatically is going to be the Earl Grey. So at this point, we check if it's a refresher to say it's iced. If that's not the case, we check if it's a frappe to say it's frozen. And if neither of those are the case, we're going to say that it's hot because the only other option is that it's Earl Grey. So we don't have to specify them. And I made a typo, which I believe is because it's missing a parenthesis. Indeed. So that's what we get. Now, the price, right? How much does each of these cost? Size tall is $3, size grande is $5, size venti is 6. So we're gonna say same deal, equal sign, if the size so equals tall, comma, we're gonna say 3. But because it's a number, guys, for the numbers, please make sure you don't put these in quotation marks just for this part of the exam because it can really mess you up while doing the calculations later. And if it's not at all, what's the result of that? Well, instead of giving it one result, we have to check if it's a grande, right? So we're gonna say another if condition, and the next if condition is gonna be if the cell is equal to grande, the value is gonna be 5. And again, if you guys want to say if the cell is equal to venti, you can do that. But if it's not, we're scanning if it's a tall, and if it is, we stop there. If it's not, we check if it's a venti, and if it is a venti, we stop there. But if it's neither of those two, the only other thing it can be is venti. So honestly, we can give this as a value if both of these are false conditions, which is going to be 6. We drag this down. and we can see the prices for all of them. And now we're being asked to restock the cups. So we'll restock the cups for size grande, saying no for everything else. This is actually like the simplest one yet. So we're going to say if B4 equals grande, comma, restock. Does it say, well, so we're going to say yes. We can say restock also, it doesn't matter. And then if it's not grande, if it's one of the other two, we're going to say no. And that's the answer we get. Now, a different way to do these, if you don't like stacking formulas on top of each other, if you like this, you can use this on the exam as long as you know how to do it reliably. But there's also a different way to do these, especially when you have multiple conditions going on at once. There's going to be ifs. So when you do ifs, you're going to have condition one, value of true one, condition two, value of true two, condition three, value of true if true three, and so on. So to do this, we are going to say ifs C4 equals refresher, comma, the value of that is the case is going to be ice in quotation marks. Now, comma, straight next thing we jump to is going to be condition two. There's no if not true condition for this one. So when we're doing multiple ifs, we're going to be condition one, condition two, result two, condition three, result three. That's it. There's no what if this is not true. If it's not true, it just gives you an error message. So to do this, we're going to be condition one, result one. Now we're going to do condition two. So condition two is going to be C4 equals frappe, comma. The value of that's the case is going to be frozen. And then condition three, which is this cell being equal to Earl Grey, then it's a hot product, so we're going to say hot. That accounts for all three possibilities, and it's kind of smoother to do for a lot of when there's a lot of them. Price, so again, same thing. I'm going to say equal sign ifs. Size tall is $3. So we're going to say the size cell equals tall, comma, result for condition one, if it's true, is going to be three. Just the number three, sorry, no quotation marks, no quotation marks if it's a number. Because we're going to be doing calculations with these. Now, we jump straight to condition two. No stacking of formulas when there's multiple ifs. Click on a cell, set it equal to grande. If that's the case, our price is going to be $5. No quotation marks. Again, my fingers are useless. No quotation marks. Um, and then condition three is going to be the size cell being equal to 20, for the price of which is going to be $6. And in the question of restocking cups, we're going to say equal sign ifs the size equals grande, comma. The value of that is true is going to be yes or restock. Now, we could do this I'm going to show you guys the easy way to do this. So honestly, if you just stop right here and just That's the only condition, but it gives you NA for the other ones. Looks kind of ugly. I won't take points off, but that's the only one. But that's the only condition we really have. If we want to say no though, instead of error message, which makes it a lot better, we're gonna just do it for the other two as well. So click on the cell, set it equal to venti, which we're gonna say no, and then if what's the other option? Tall. So set the cell equal to tall. For that, we're also gonna say no. And I think I need another quotation mark right here. Now we gotta answer these other questions, and I guarantee you guys they're gonna be the same weight as these ones. So let's say these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If there's like 10 questions on here, all of them are gonna be 2 points. So these are like longer formulas, but these are just as important. So how many tall drinks were sold? We say equal sign. Three types of formulas we're gonna use. There's gonna be sum, count, and average. We're just going to combine them with if there's one condition, or if there's multiple conditions. So tall drinks, the only condition is that the drink is tall. So we select this entire column. So the only condition is that the drink is tall. So we're going to say count ifs. And how do we know it's count ifs? Because we're being asked how many. How many means we're going to count. And it says range and criteria. The range is the range within which we look for our condition. So among these, how many of them say tall? 5 of these say tall. So how many venti frappes were sold? So now we have venti, and it also has to be a frappe. Two conditions, right? So we're going to say equal sign, and we're going to follow that up with count ifs, because there's more than one condition. The size has to be venti, so the range for criteria 1 is the sizes, and the actual criteria is going to be that it says venti. And notice how on this side of the formulas, we don't use equal sign. We just use comma. And then condition range 2 is going to be frappes. So the types of items. Oh, and condition 2 is going to be that it's a frappe. So the range where we find that condition is the items. And the actual condition is going to be that it says frappe. Now, how much money in total was spent brewing frozen drinks? So keyword frozen. That's the only condition. And we're asking how much money in total. Putting two and two together, we're going to use sum if, right? Now, pay very close attention, guys, please, to the way that Excel gives this to you. You have range, criteria, sum range. What is the difference between these? Well, if one of the ranges says sum range, those are the numbers you're going to add up, right? That automatically means that the first range is going to be the range where you look for your condition. So we're looking for frozen drinks. We select all of the drinks based on whether they're frozen, ice, or hot, comma. Criteria, which we find within this range, is going to be frozen. And now we do the calculation where we select the prices. That is the range, the sum range. If it ever says sum range, guys, that is the range where the calculation happens. What is the total price of all grande refreshers? So two conditions again. One is that the coffee size is grande and that the item type is a refresher. So we're going to say equal sign. Sum ifs. Our sum range is going to be Now, when you're doing sum ifs instead of sum if, again, remember guys, you put the sum range first. So let's say this only applies to sum if and average if. So if there's a calculation to be done, if it's sum if, you find the conditions first, then you do the calculation. If it's sum ifs, if there's multiple conditions, you do the sum range first. So add up these numbers, but only do so with the following conditions. So you mention what numbers you're going to calculate from first, and then you stack conditions on top of each other as you wish. So you don't have to remember this, just pay attention to what Excel tells you, and please pay attention to what the words mean. So sum range is always, always, always going to mean the numbers you calculate. Pay attention to where that is and select that accordingly, first or last. In ifs, some ifs is going to be first, and some if is going to be the last thing you select. So comma criteria range one is going to be that it's grande. So we select the range where the sizes are and we say grande. Criteria range two, that's for refreshers, so it's going to be within the items. I'm going to say comma. Oh, I hit enter by accident, but okay. We're going to say refresher. Now, we're still not done yet. We have the average, which works exactly the same as the sum. So average price of Earl Grey drinks. The only condition is that the drinks are Earl Grey. That means it's going to be average if. Now, I got to put the equal sign. Now, what BS was Katie talking about? Criteria ranges, condition ranges, and sum ranges. Well, you don't have to remember it. Literally, just pay attention to what Excel tells you. So, range, criteria, sum range. But basically, this is singular, average if, one condition. Your condition range, you're going to find where your condition is first before you do the calculation. You only remember this, the easiest way to remember it is by looking at where average range is. So don't select like the prices as the first thing because the average range is last, right? So range is going to be where it says Earl Grey, so that is the item type, comma, it has to say Earl Grey. And then we do the calculation of the average value. So we select those and we get 5.28. And then lastly, what is the average price of refreshers placed at noon? I'm going to say equal sign, average. Now, we're being asked refreshers placed at noon, two conditions, average ifs. Now, again, the order of this does not really, you don't have to remember it, just know what it means. Average range, criteria range one, criteria one. What probably follows that is criteria range two, criteria two. So average range is the key word here. Because it's in multiple, average ifs, you're going to do the calculation first because it says average range in the beginning. So you're going to take the values from where you're going to find the average. So we're telling Excel, you're going to take the average from these numbers based on the following conditions. Right? So we're going to go to criteria range one, which is the time where the order was placed. And we're going to say no. And then criteria range two is going to be, where do we look for if it's a refresher? The item. And we want that to say refresher. And that's that. And there might be a question like this in the test too, and I'm gonna just add this in case somebody panics. And this is the easiest thing on earth, but I still don't want you guys to freak out over this. Let's say it asks how much money did we make total, or how many? Yeah, what was the total value of all the drinks we sold? Something like that. If it asks that, guys, it's just a sum question. You just take all the prices, take sum, and that's it. But if you guys can do this, I'm not gonna say twice. I'm not gonna say three times. If you guys can do this stuff to the point where you can do it reliably without looking at anything other than the answer banks I provided you, you will 200% pass the exam. Please lock in for this. Practice a couple of times until you're comfortable, and good luck.